welcome to this explainer. Even the most seasoned writers out there experience that dreaded friction when staring down a totally blank page. It's intimidating, right? Well, today we're unpacking the actual architecture of the writing process. We're going to help you optimize your workflow and systematically transform those raw, messy ideas into beautifully polished drafts. So let me ask you, how do you organize your ideas when you're gearing up to write? We have absolutely all been there. The cursor is just mocking you, blinking away on the screen. You got a million thoughts swirling in your head, or, let's be real, maybe none at all. But figuring out how to wrangle those raw ideas is literally the critical first step to getting unstuck. Here's our roadmap for today. We're going to cover the writing process, the power of pre-writing, outlining your ideas, navigating peer review, and finally, editing and proofreading. Let's dive in. Section 1, the writing process. Okay, first things first. Writing is absolutely not a straight line from A to B. It's a procedural journey. It loops back on itself, revisiting and refining ideas constantly. It's like a giant puzzle. And honestly, just recognizing this iterative cycle takes a massive amount of pressure off that very first draft. You don't have to be perfect right out of the gate. Because when you view writing as a step-by-step system, rather than this one giant, terrifying monolith, the workload suddenly feels so much more structured. Remember, you don't have to finalize the whole piece today. No way. You just have to execute step 1. And those steps are simply pre-writing, drafting, revising, editing, and polishing. That's it. Section 2, power of pre-writing. Now, there really isn't a single correct way to pre-write. It's highly personal. Depending on your analytical style and the specific project you're tackling, you might lean toward brainstorming, free writing, listing, charting, or mapping. The key is just getting started. So with brainstorming, you need to completely bypass your inner editor. Tell them to take a hike. Capture everything as rapidly as you can. Seriously, write everything down. Because if you filter yourself too early, you run the very real risk of discarding a totally original concept before it even has the room to breathe and develop. Consider this awesome example from our sources describing St. Petersburg. By free-writing continuously, literally without stopping to self-edit at all, the author uncovered some incredibly rich descriptive imagery, like this phrase, an ocean of gold red. That kind of vivid language might have been completely stifled if they were doing rigid early-stage drafting. Now, if you're tackling something more analytical, charting is a real game changer because it instantly structures your logic. Organizing your advantages and disadvantages right there, side by side, it just magically reveals your core arguments and helps you distill your thesis super efficiently. And for all you visual thinkers out there, mapping is incredibly effective. Drawing branches out from a central topic visually connects related concepts. It's fantastic because it naturally suggests an architectural flow for your eventual paragraphs. It kind of builds a skeleton for you. Section 3, outlining your ideas. Okay, moving on to structure. The Purdue OWL highlights 3 primary outline structures you really should know. First, the alphanumeric. This is your classic go-to for general essay organization. Then you've got the full sentence outline, which is perfect for testing your arguments early on in traditional academic essays. And finally, the decimal format. This one is incredibly useful in scientific or technical writing because it shows strict hierarchical relationships to a larger whole. Trust me, selecting the right blueprint early on, it's going to save you literally hours of structural revisions later. Section 4, navigating peer review. All right, when you're examining a peer's work, specificity is absolutely key. You want to tell them exactly why something worked. Be positive and specific. Encourage revision and ask questions to help prompt their thinking, rather than just throwing out vague generalities. Remember, constructive feedback is about guiding the author. It is not about taking authorship or rewriting the text for them. So, effective review always starts with what we call global concerns. You're looking at things like theme and focus, cohesiveness and organization. Does the theme make sense? Is the logical argument and thesis actually sound? You have to look at this stuff first because changes made at this high level completely dictate the rest of the flow. I mean, if the core argument is flawed, surface-level edits just aren't going to salvage it. And that is exactly why local concerns, we're talking sentence-level stuff, transitions, topic sentences, usage, grammar, spelling, and editing for wordiness, all of that should be saved for the middle and late stages of review. You really want to avoid the trap of meticulously copy-editing a paragraph for perfect grammar only to realize later during a global review that the entire section actually needs to be cut. Talk about a waste of time, right? Section 5, editing and proofreading. Now we're in the home stretch. As highlighted in our sources, editing isn't just fixing typos. It is a deep check for clarity and conciseness. It checks if the paper is well organized, you're making sure your evidence really backs up your argument, you're smoothing out transitions, and you're making your voice as sharp and impactful as possible. When you finally enter the proofreading stage, professionals use this fascinating, standardized shorthand. For instance, a paragraph symbol means, well, start a new paragraph. TR means transpose text. Then there's stepped, which is Latin for let it stand, meaning you just ignore a previous mark. WF is wrong font. SP is spell out on abbreviation. Applying these standardized marks really streamlines the whole final polish. So we've mapped the entire journey today, from a terrifying blank page to a beautiful, finalized draft. But I want to leave you with a thought. What happens to your creative output when you stop treating writing as some sort of elusive, magical talent and start treating it as a reliable, predictable system? Which pre-writing strategy are you going to try on your next assignment? Try implementing just one of these techniques the next time you sit down to write and watch that friction just disappear. Thanks for joining this explainer.